Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hello everyone and welcome to your English class. In our lesson today, we will continue with our first unit, which is titled, Did You Hurt Yourself? Our lesson today is the form, meaning and function lesson in your books, page 14 and 15. All you need for the lesson today is your books, page 14 and 15, a sheet of paper and a pen to take down your notes. So let's get started with some exercise from the writing lesson in your books, page 82. Here you're going to imagine or you will come up with the ending for the story. Have you heard about the skydiver whose parachute didn't open until he was quite close to the ground? What do you think happened to him? Someone who was skydiving, then the parachute didn't open. The plan is that it's going to open by the very end. What might happen? He might fall down and pass away. However, for me, I found the story like he landed on his face and hurt his nose and forehead lightly. He then pulled himself up, shook the dust off, and walked away unharmed. You can come up with any ending that you feel that is suitable. How about the following? Have you heard about a boy who got trapped under the ice of a frozen lake? What do you think happened to him? He was trapped under ice. Then what happened? I could say the boy wasn't breathing when the rescuers got him out. The doctors were able to bring him back and he recovered over the next few months. So he was in a very critical conditions. He was in a very bad situation. However, he recovered like months later. In the same book, on your books, page 82, we're having exercise J. Have you ever been in an accident? Do you know anyone who has right information about the accidents in the chart? So you will put one accident in your mind. Think about one of the accidents that we have read or you have written about, or something you heard about, it happened to you. So for me, I will speak about what happened to PJs, the last story in the reading lesson. The dynamite, the man who is working with the dynamite. Here, we're going to come up with answers for these three questions. The first question, what was happening before the accident happened? So here, we're going to prepare the setting. What happened before? You are describing the time, it might be the situation. For me, I will say, railroad worker Phineas P. Gage was working with some dynamite. You can mention the time, you can mention here, I want to let you know why he was working with the dynamite. Was it an explosion? He was actually working. He was a keep worker. How did the accident happen? Now, the accident itself. I would say the dynamite exploded and 1 meter long bar went clear through his head. So we're having an explosion, a bar went through his head. Through, it means it went in and out. Then, what could the person have done to avoid the accident? Now, we had the accident. Now, we want to give advice to this person so he can avoid such accidents or other people to avoid such accidents in the future. We would say he should have been more careful and taking precautions. If he were more cautious or more careful working with the dynamite, this thing might not happen, and taking precautions, maybe wearing a helmet or doing things that might protect him. Think about a story, what happened before, during, and what is such an advice to avoid such accidents. For our lesson today, for the form, meaning, and function, by the end of today's lesson, you will be able to identify modal auxiliaries. What are they? And we will speak about only two of them. Use adverbs of manner correctly. What is an adverb of manner and how can we use it? Let's get started with this. By the beginning in here, we're having this one is a driving instructor. Let's imagine that you want to learn how to drive. You want to come up with your driving license. The first thing you have to learn how to drive. So this driving instructor is going to tell us about it. I am your driving instructor, and I am here to help you get your license. You should drive carefully, and you shouldn't drive fast. You must fasten your seatbelt. You mustn't drive through the red light. Always make sure you drive slowly, especially when you drive through towns. If you need to check the route, pull over and ask or check. And have a safe drive. Now he gave us some of the instructions or some advice to get your license or when you are driving. We will take these speeches one by one and discuss our grammar. At the beginning in here, he said, you should drive carefully and shouldn't drive fast. And also he said, you must fasten your seat belt. You mustn't drive through the red light. If we're going to the first one in here, we're having the modal auxiliary, which is should. Should in the positive and shouldn't in the negative. He's trying here to do what? To give advice. If you do this thing, it would be a good idea. A kind of advice, not strong, it's an advice. It's advice. So you should wake up early. It's a good idea. How about if when he said, you must fasten your seatbelt and mustn't drive through the red light? Must and mustn't. This is a kind of stronger advice. This is not my choice or your choice. This is actually fastening your seatbelt and the idea not crossing the traffic light or the red light. This is actually the law. It's not my own words. It is the rules and the laws. So modal auxiliaries are the ones we will speak about today is should and must. Shouldn't and mustn't. And these are, we use them actually. Should, if you want to give advice. Advice is a suggestion from you, me to you, from you to someone else. Must, if it is the laws and the rules. It is not a choice. You can do it or do it or leave it. It is actually compulsory. You have to do it. No choice in here. It is the laws and the rules. So you should drive under the speed limit and you shouldn't eat when you are driving. Here we're having the idea of, notice the verb drive and also eat. After the modal auxiliary, here we're using, regardless whether it is must or we're having should, you have to use the base form of the verb. Drive, eat, fasten. How about the other, which is must? You must stop at the traffic lights. You mustn't park on the sidewalk. So must, stop, and must not park or mustn't park. If you do this or that, you're going to get a ticket. Okay, so these, they are. The thing that is we're having should is for advice, and that one is a compulsory, it's not a choice, which is must. However, all of them will be followed by the base form of the verb. However, what comes before it in a sentence? Before it, we can say you. Before it, we will use a pronoun. He. It might be I. You will use a pronoun, and it will be followed. You should, you must, shouldn't, and mustn't, followed by the verb, which is a base form of the verb. So we will start with the pronoun, just like any English sentence, followed by the modal auxiliary. Then we will have the verb. Now let's look into here. Someone is driving too fast and one is not happy about what's happening. So he would say, you should be careful. And also, you shouldn't drive fast. Notice the verb be, the base form, and drive, which is the base form. However, we're having here, these are the rules and laws. We will say, the first one will say stop. So what is the modal auxiliary that is suitable in here? You must stop. Actually, I can't choose whether to stop or not. You must stop. It's not my words. And also, you mustn't exceed the speed limit. If it is 50, so you can't go over it. You mustn't go over it. You mustn't go over the speed limit. Okay. Now in your books, page 14, we're having exercise A. Complete the conversations using your own words. Here, you don't have to choose whether should or must. Just choose the correct verb to complete the sentences. I am afraid I am running out of gas. No petrol in my car. So you should do what? No gas in my car. You should give advice. You should stop at a gas station. It will be a good idea to stop at a gas station. Number 2, the sign says 80 kilometers per hour and I am going 90. So then you must do what? You must slow down. You must drive slower. Next, I am lost. I don't know which way to go. I don't know the directions. I think we should do what? If you don't know the directions, you should ask someone. You should try your navigation application or any other one. The following, number 4, I need to make a phone call. Can you please hold the steering wheel for me? Here, someone wants to make a phone call and they don't want to hold the steering wheel. What do you think? You mustn't. You mustn't. You mustn't speak on the phone when driving. This is actually a sentence. Must not. Here would have speak. Use your cell phone when driving. The car won't start. It is not working. There is plenty of gas. I wonder what the problem is. I have filled it with gas, however, it's not working. So here you should, can you give advice? For we will say you should take it to a car mechanic. Just take it to a car mechanic. So focus in here on the verb, that we're using the base form of the verb. You should take it. You should call a mechanic, a car mechanic. Okay. Now, in your books, page 85. 85 in your books, exercise N. Change the imperative sentences into sentences with must or mustn't. So now you will choose whether must or mustn't. We don't have a should this time. Must or mustn't. Pay attention to the road. I will tell you, pay attention to the road. Just change this one into must. We will use we must pay attention to the road. Use the same sentence, pay, so we will have a pay. Just choose whether must or mustn't. You must pay attention to the road. Don't fall asleep at the wheel. Don't feel drowsy or sleepy. Don't fall asleep at the wheel. Drivers, let's use must or mustn't. They mustn't fall asleep at the wheel. They must not, mustn't fall. Notice the verb in here, it is the base form. Ask the driving instructor for advice. I must or mustn't. I must ask the driving instructor for advice. So the same with having ask. Don't sit in the front seat. Children, they must sit at the back seat. So we will say children mustn't sit in the front seat. Notice mustn't because of the meaning, and we will have sit. They mustn't sit in the front seat. Number 5, fasten your seat belt. Fatima. Let's start with Fatima. Fasten, wear your seat belt. So we'll say Fatima must fasten her seat belt. Fasten or wear. Don't tailgate. What is the idea of tailgating? Driving too close to the car in front of you. So following the car, the other cars. So Bard, we're having Bard in here. Bard mustn't tailgate. He mustn't tailgate. You mustn't, drivers mustn't tailgate. Okay, So these they are. Also in your books, page 85, and this time we're speaking about should and shouldn't. So, exercise O. Complete the sentences with should or shouldn't. So we're having the verb, and based on the meaning, you will choose whether you will use should or shouldn't. Skaters, people on skates, wear a helmet and knee pads, protect their heads and their knees in case they fall. So wear helmets and knee pads. Do we use should or shouldn't? Actually, it will be should. They should wear. For a meaning, we will use should and use wear as it is. The baby sat in the front seat of the car. What do you think about the front seat of the car for babies? It should be shouldn't. So we will start with the baby shouldn't sit. So we have started with this is the pronoun, or this is the subject of our sentence. Drowsy truck drivers stop for a break. Someone is drowsy or sleepy. So we can say they should stop for a break. Anyone who feels like they are sleepy or drowsy, you should stop for a break. You ride your bike fast down the hill. What about riding down the hill? Here we're having you shouldn't ride your bike down the hill because it's a kind of a slope. You might fall. Unless it is straight, don't drive or ride your bike. You might fall and slide. You shouldn't ride your bike fast down the hill. The driver talk on his cell phone while he's driving. What do you think about should or shouldn't using cell phone while driving? It should be shouldn't. Shouldn't talk or use his cell phone while driving. My legs hurts. I see a doctor. What about seeing a doctor? I should see a doctor or meet a doctor. So based on the meaning, you will choose whether to choose should or shouldn't, and always the base form of the verb. So where, we're having sit, also stop, and ride, talk in here, and see. It is the base form, no addition, just the present tense of the verb. Here, I want you to come up with sentences for these, whether the most suitable is should or must. Let's imagine that we're having here a friend. A friend in here is having too much to do. Homeworks, projects, assignments, quizzes to do. So, what are we going to tell this person? For me, I will tell him, you should sleep early. When you have a quiz, just sleep early. And also, you shouldn't waste your time. Shouldn't waste. Based on the meaning, if you're having maybe a test tomorrow, make sure that you sleep early and shouldn't waste your time. So notice the verb, sleep and waste, should and shouldn't based on the meaning. Let's imagine that you are at the library. At the library, everyone should, or it should be a quiet place, a quiet area. So what about talking in there? It's actually not allowed, and you can see such a sign. So here we will say, you must keep quiet and you mustn't talk. So must keep quiet and must not talk. You mustn't talk because it's not your or my choice. It is actually the rules and the laws. Okay, now in your books as well, look at the photo and give advice to the person in the picture. Here we're having, let's try to describe the picture together. We're having someone who's driving. Here, our driver in here, he is actually not wearing a seat belt and using his cell phone. He is almost hitting a pedestrian or someone who's walking on the street. So let's try to give advice to this person. I will say that he should wear his seat belt. Notice, no seat belt in here. You should wear your seat belt. He mustn't use his cell phone. It is not allowed. Mustn't use cell phone. And he should watch the road. It is also a good idea to watch the road for pedestrians. Back to the driving instructor in here. You should drive carefully and shouldn't drive fast. And also he would say, always make sure to drive slowly, especially when you drive through towns. Here actually he's trying to give advice for the way of driving. In here, let's look at this driver. What is he doing? The action, what is it? It is actually, he is driving. Then we will have, how is he driving? Describe the way he's driving. He is actually driving carelessly and recklessly. He is reckless and careless, however, the driving, the action is carelessly and recklessly. What kind of drivers is he? Let's describe the man himself. He's actually a careless and a reckless driver. And a reckless driver, someone who's not driving safely. Let's look at this, someone who's writing in here. So what is he doing? He's actually writing. Can you describe the writing, the action of writing? The action is actually how, carefully and slowly. He or she's writing carefully and slowly. And what kind of handwritings is it? We want the word thank you. Can you describe it? It's actually beautiful and careful. Beautiful and careful. So we're having the idea of an adjective. Sometimes adjectives we can change them to, you will add ly to them, so we will have an adverb. An adverb is a part of a speech in which we are describing the verb. Adverb, describe a verb, how the action is going, slowly, quickly, carefully. So we're having bad is badly, heavy, heavily, quick, quickly, careful, and carefully. Sometimes we can change the adjective into an adverb, so we can use the same or we will use a totally different word. He's good and he's doing well, fast and fast, late and late, early and early, hard and hard. The adjective is the adverb, or we will have a totally different word. Okay, now I want you to complete the conversation. Use the adverb form, the correct adverb forms of the adjectives. Well, my son drives reckless. My son is reckless, so he drives recklessly. He is always in a hurry. My son drives good. He is a good driver, so he drives well. But he sometimes drives too fast. Fast is the same adjective and the adverb. I'm afraid he's going to have an accident one of these days. Well, Brian got a ticket because he was driving also fast in here, because the adjective is the adverb. He had to go to a special class for people who drive. How do they drive? In a dangerous way? Dangerously. But he still doesn't drive. He is still driving, not driving carefully. Careful driver and carefully. Now in your books, page 85, complete the conversation and use the adverb form of the adjectives in parentheses. We're having a mom and her son. How was your first driving lesson? The son, Bob, will say, it didn't start good. So all of them are going to be adverbs. Good, well, because I fell on the way to the driving school. I hurt my arm badly, and arrived there. We will use late, the same adjective as the adverb. Did you miss the lesson? Yes. I missed my appointment, but then I waited patiently for my instructor who was out on another lesson. Luckily, he had time to give me a lesson after that. Continue the conversation. So did you have a good lesson? Oh yeah, I spent an hour driving. Of course, I didn't go, let's say fast. I listened careful, I'm a careful listener, carefully to the instructor, and he explained everything clearly how to control the car. Then I drove it in a safe way, safely back to the school. What must you do now? He will say, Bob will say, I must try hard is the same as hard to learn the rules of the road. Then I am sure I will pass my test. Passing how easy will be easily. Okay, so all of them are adjectives and we change them into adverbs. For your homework, I want you to advise your workbooks on page 85 and do the exercise on page 85. Okay, I guess that is it for the lesson today, and thank you so much for your time.